There you go. I saw Mira. I said, "Oh," before he yells at me. Uh, so I was just talking to Eric and Karen about instincts, right? Like developing instincts. And I was reading a quote about a famous quarterback, American football quarterback, where who had really good instincts as making decisions very quickly. Um, Not because if your instincts are good, you're ahead of it. Like you know where you should be. Like that person will be there, right? And it's so instincts is like almost like a shadow. It's just in front of you. It's just about to happen, but your instincts are so good that you pick up on it, right? So, and how people train themselves. Some people have a hard time with instinct, right? Because it may be hard to show off, I guess, and feel like it's hard to show your good instincts, right? But for survival, it's pretty critical, right? It's pretty critical. Today we're going to train with guns. So hopefully you guys have some sort of a training gun around. If not, a stick or something is fine. Anything you can hold in your hand. It could, in theory, be a knife, but a gun would be what we need. I'll give you guys a second to go grab that. Karen, you got your gun? Don't go pew, pew, pew. Oh, God.
Okay, I'm the only one home.
Oh, good.
Except for the cat.
Except for the cat. Well, you can shoot the cat if you had no, don't do that. But if there was a Nerf gun around, I'm sure that cat would be nervous.
You trust me.
Hold on. Yeah. Oof.
That
Nice
comment about instincts, I was going to say it's really too bad because when you're a kid, you operate from instinct constantly, and then it's kind of bred out of you as you grow older, and it's kind of like now trying to get back to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a kid thing. I think it's as living in a big city, we're constantly we rely too much on eyesight, and then we also rely heavily on knowledge. Like we think, okay, this is because knowledge makes so much practical sense. I know something, like I can, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. There's for every an amazing soccer player, football player, they have on paper all their numbers all of them look amazing, but it's that top 5% that have good instincts that get selected to go to those national teams and stuff. They're not just looking for that. You got to have that instinct too. You got to train with it, right? Eric, you found something? Good for you. Oh, an axe is nice. That can be kind of a gun. You could throw that thing pretty much, I guess.
Oh yeah, I can throw it. I know how to throw it.
I'm sure you do. So when it comes to gun training, and so Karen, can you just mute so we don't get any crosstalk, please? Thank you. So I did gun training for last couple of classes one adult class. So yeah, we done some gun training here and there, but last night we did gun training. It was a lot of fun, the whole class. And by the end of it, people were really left with a different sense of layers of systema here. Okay, and weapons training, gun would be completely different than knife. And I want you guys to kind of have a taste of that, and I'll show you how I trained with it. I'm not a military guy, so I won't train like that. It's just, I've seen it and I've watched it done. I just feel that as a, if you're not, then why pretend to be that thing? You know what I mean? It's kind of silly. But I do love shooting my guns. I'm a definite sports shooter more than tactical guy. But I've done tons of courses, so I know both worlds. And when I was talking about instincts, this also comes really true with weapons training. So there is instinct shooting or instinctive shooting, which is a whole other discipline of shooting, and that would be something that will require almost no aiming. So instinctive shooting is very much like throwing a football in throwing a football, American football, or kicking a soccer ball. You look at something and you decide you want to throw it or kick it there, and you make a guess and you kick it, and then you make another one based on what you learned from the first one. And every time you do, you just get better and better and better at it, right? You just get better at understanding how to do this without an aiming mechanism. Like there's no aiming mechanism on the ball. There is an aiming mechanism on a handgun and a long gun. The problem is it takes time. Like you got to line everything up, right? And in real situations, that might not be enough time, right? So you need to develop instinctive. So I like using the gun as it relates to instinctive, building your instincts. So I'll show you how I do it. And if you guys have questions, let me know. Have fun with it. Okay. You ready to start? Can we get started? Okay, good. Let's stand up. Just gonna fix this. A good view. There we go. Awesome. Okay. There we go. Rock and roll. You guys can hear me good? It's all good? Good. Awesome. So hold the gun, okay, and hold it in your hands. And what you're going to do at first, find like, start to walk with it just in your hand. Yeah, it doesn't matter how, right? Of course. Try the different hand too. Like you can kind of switch it from one hand to the other. I just kind of walk around. Now stay nice and still, right? And I don't know, point the gun somewhere. It doesn't really matter where you point it, right? And then point it somewhere else. And point it somewhere else. And what I want you to do is think about just stretching that arm. So hold your legs steady, right? Keep them steady. And you're kind of more stretching. You're pointing the gun, but you're stretching and you're in all kinds of directions. You can switch the hand too, right? You can get real creative with it. It's not so much a practical shooting style, but more of a stretching for your upper body. So every time I rotate my wrist, any change of my wrist changes the angle of my arm and the stretch. So as I reach here and I'm rotating the gun, it changes things. And then as I loop around and go here, I feel stretch more in my back. So as I reach up and I rotate, I now feel the stretch in my back. So it's like it's here, and then I rotate and I can feel it up in here. So you can study complete stretching of the upper body just with one hand moving it. And what's interesting is you're actually studying some unconventional ways of shooting. And this is, you know, guys that, you know, more of a military application, I guess, you know, you might need to do like this. I don't know. It's not in the textbook, but if that's the quickest, if you draw and go this way, that might be it, right? Or yeah, or like this. I don't know. It might be, doesn't sound convenient, but you're just trying something. You're trying to be creative with this thing, right? Now put two hands on the weapon, okay? Now, just some small things, okay? So I open my hand, you see the V, right? So I make like a V. And then I allow, if you look from the top, my finger runs along the barrel, okay? Not on top, but along the barrel. And my thumb also runs parallel to the barrel, okay? Now, if you go on the open side, you see that little, that space? I put this part of my palm in there, okay? And if you can see, hand here, and both my thumbs are on that side. This is, so I'm putting this part of my palm onto that handle right there. That's where the skin is, okay? Now, your non-dominant hand, so for me, it's my left. Karen, it might be your right for you. I don't know if you're a lefty, right? It might be different. This doesn't do anything. It just creates some support, okay? It's not involved in the shooting process at all. And it's very light. So you're just wrapping, everything is wrapping. And you can see from the bottom how wrapped up the weapon is, right? And you can see from the top, all my fingers are going in that same direction. They're going down the barrel, okay? Hold it like this. This is really the proper way, okay, of holding it. There are some different variations, but this is pretty standard. It should feel pretty comfortable. So now you're gonna do the exact same thing. And again, you're focused more on kind of the stretching aspects of it, like your upper body. So different angles to the weapon, right? You know, if you've got students that are kind of new to weapons training, right? This is a good way to introduce them. You're talking about more the creative and the more instinctive style of shooting. You know, I wouldn't go to a gun course and do this, okay? It wouldn't be advisable. This is just a version of it, okay? Don't go do this at a gun club. They'll kick you out quickly. But for your own personal training, it's amazing. Awesome. How does everybody feel? Okay. Interesting. Question, Eric, did you have
I just
something?
love that you've invented gun yoga, Emmanuel.
It is. No. Guys, I know there might be, I'm not sure, but one day somebody will watch us and say, wow, like this is completely not proper code for stuff in let's say North America, like conventional. But as unconventional goes, this is highly practical. This is how things happen. This is exactly how they happen. So yeah, you kind of stretch it with the gun. Now, okay, so that's for now. Go down on the ground, sit on your bum. Sit on your bum. I'm just gonna drop the camera down so you guys can see me. Okay, good. So now I'm on the ground, right? And I'm gonna start to kind of stretch my legs. So now my arms are kind of like my elbows are heavy. Like, so I'm not really involving the arms at all now. I'm just involving like my arms and my elbows kind of heavy. The gun is held in my hand like I showed you, and it's close to me, but it's not glued, but it's close to me. And I'm gonna start to kind of stretch with my legs. So I'm gonna stretch my legs on the ground in different ways, you know, come up on my knees, go back down. And I'm just kind of trying to stretch my legs and move while I'm stretching and holding the weapon and seeing what I can do to warm up my legs. How's that feel? Interesting? So I don't know if you've noticed, but so I guess how far down the rabbit hole I want to go one way or another way. So this is obviously a carry position, right? Somewhere where his holster hit on you. This is what I call a working position. So by working, I mean I can do other work other than the gun. Like I can run, I can walk, I can move on the ground. It's close to me, it's ready, but I can do lots of things. This is business, right? This is all about the gun right now, okay? So from here, I work. Now, it's hard for you to see, but you see how the gun is facing down, trigger up, okay? This is from the sports world, okay? The sports world of shooting, so high-level competitions. There's a judge right beside you. He needs to see that that figure is not on the trigger. So the gun is like this, okay? If I'm somehow working on my gun, if it's got a malfunction, it's jammed, the slide is jammed, I need to clear or change my magazine, I flip it. This is when I work on my gun. Like this, I work on my gun. Like this, I work. Does that make sense? Now, what I say by work on my gun, there's a button that releases a mag or changing. Sometimes a gun gets jammed and you need to clear the jam. You don't do it like this, okay? This is a working position. This shows a judge and shows other people I'm working on my gun. This shows I'm working. This shows the gun is working. That's the difference. And you want to have that protocol because the last thing you want to do is be working on a gun out here, like trying to clear a jam out here. This is not going to do it. You bring it in, you work on it, you bring it out. Okay. So that's how I've trained myself. Okay. So when the gun is here, I can kick, I can punch, I can grab, I can do whatever I want. I can work with my elbows. The gun is like, it's like this for me. This is what it's like for me. No difference. It's just here. Okay. It's just like when the gun is here, it's just on me. I'm walking. There's nothing bothering me. Right. So I have this kind of as a methodology. So when I'm moving on the ground and the gun is close to me, I'm never at one point trying to pretend like I'm going to shoot from this position. It only shoots at extension. That's it. That's how it goes. So my finger will never be anywhere close to the trigger unless it's at full extension. Okay. So I'm here. Make sense or no, guys? The last thing you want to do is be in this position with a decision. Don't be here and make your decision here. I decided I need to fire. Bang. I'm not deciding over here. It's just not going to happen. This is not a good place to make a decision right here. Make your decision here before it's out. Otherwise, don't straighten it. Don't put it out there, right? No, it's really important. Don't make that decision. Like, if you got to be in, there's a place and time to make it. You know those guys that you got to decide whether you're going to buy a car before you get to the dealership. Okay, if you go there and buy it, you're in real trouble. They're going to fool you for sure. So anyway, okay, stand up. You got it. Stand up now. So we've stretched out the legs, right? We've stretched out the legs. We've stretched out the arms a little bit. Let's work on aiming, okay? So just some fun stuff with the gun. So let me bring you beside a wall here. You can see it. So I'm gonna come up to the wall and I'm gonna find a spot, like right here. Just the spot on the wall, okay? And I'm gonna touch the gun on that wall, right on the spot. And I'm gonna very slowly back up. So just take a few steps back in the picture and then take a few steps forward, okay? And I'm gonna try to walk away and keep the same line as that spot. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't have to be too far. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, whatever room you have, right? What I want you to do is pay attention to how the harder you try to hold steady, the worse it is. Try to just hold the gun comfortably where it's supposed to be and let it float around. So I start here and I come back. I start here and I slowly come back. And then I go forward exactly to the spot. And if you notice, if you just watch me for a sec, guys, if you notice, when I take one step, I go off the target. When I take the other step, I come on. It's really interesting to watch. No matter how straight you try to hold the gun, there is a float. There's going to be a little float, like a figure of some sort. It's okay. Don't try to fight it and hold it steady. Allow the body to float with your steps. So as I come away from it, I can see the barrel floating away. And as I come forward, I see it coming forward, right? Try that a few times, guys. Yeah. And you have strong hand. You also have your off hand. Both hands, you should know to work with both, but you will always have one dominant hand. There's no doubt. Awesome. Some small feedback. When walking backwards, pick up your legs more. Okay. In real situations with people with weapons walking backwards that drag their heels, they usually trip. So you want to pick up your feet. Couple of reasons. So usually there's something like in your way. So as you walk backwards, if you're dragging your heels, it's very easy to trip on something. Okay, if you're dragging your heels. If you're picking up your feet, it's very easy to either miss it or step over it. Or if you step on it, it's okay, you won't trip. So when you're going backwards, pick up your feet a little bit. That goes pretty much for any time. But with a weapon, it's like we forget about our feet completely, okay? And the military guys here, the Canadian military guys that say in the kind of the first week of training for the new recruits, when they get their gun and they train with it, the long gun, it says that first week is usually full of ankle and knee injuries because people are, they're running around and they've got this gun and it attracts all their attention. They forget about their legs completely and they step in holes and twist their ankles and just bugger up their legs. So, really, when you're holding something as powerful as a gun or a knife, walking backwards, it's very easy to trip on stuff, but not as much if you pick up your feet, okay? Now, the one thing that took me a long time to accept when it comes to aiming and being accurate is that a weapon has a natural float, okay? So the harder I try to stay still, the more my gun will move, the more tension I start to think. It's like, you got to allow, because your heart is beating, your lungs are moving. You just have to allow, just allow the heart and allow it to move the weapon slightly. It's fine. You don't have to hold it still. Let it move, especially if you're walking, okay? So what I want you to do now is watch how that changes when you walk faster or when you start to even go for a light jog. The more you run, the more this gun will jump a little bit, and it's fine. It's like you couldn't stop it if you tried. It's very difficult. It's super difficult to do, right? So let's try it. So go do the same thing. Find your dot, right? Walk backwards, walk forwards, right? But this time a little bit faster and a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster, and just watch how, try to stay as steady as you can, but it's very difficult, right? You'll see that the weapon will start to move a little bit. And that's just normal. And trying to hold it steady is the mistake. Just allow it to float around, do as much as you can to mitigate it, but it's fine. Awesome. Okay, you got it. You got it. Endless options there. Next category I want to touch, or I want to tick off of. Okay, so stay straight. Okay, turn beside you, look, and then lift the gun up. Put the gun down and look back straight away. So now it's like you heard a noise, you looked, you observed it, then you lifted the gun to it. Okay, now, one sec, guys. Sorry, let me interrupt you. Okay. So when I look at a target, let's say like a mark here. Okay, there's this imaginary line. It's like a little dotted line, dot, 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 and it goes to my eye. Okay. And then this gun comes up. And the moment that imaginary dotted line and my gun line up is what I want. Okay. So I bring my gun to this dotted line. So it's imaginary, of course, right? But try to visualize. If I look way across the gym, way back there, so I'm here, first thing I do is I look. Okay. So I need to observe the target first. I don't just like put my gun right away without looking. You don't want to train yourself like that, right? I look, I see a threat, I raise my gun up to that imaginary line, and my eye always stays focused on that target. It doesn't come off of it, okay? So as you're looking around, so let's say I look up. First I look up, then I bring my gun to that line. I bring the gun down and I look away, okay? So I look, I imagine the what I want to aim at, and I come up and down. You could do it with both hands. It's fine. You could do it with one hand. It doesn't matter to me. The idea is that you first observe before you even raise your weapon. Okay? You look, and then you raise it. Look, and then you raise it. Awesome, good. 2 targets. So I look, I acquire the first one, I come up, I make a move towards it, I look behind me, I acquire a second target. So you make a few steps towards a target, turn and find the second target in the same movement, okay? One target, walk, something behind me, I look, second target, okay? So 2 targets. Now, whatever's in your room, I don't know, pictures, vase you don't like, it doesn't matter, whatever it is.
And you're transitioning between the two targets going over, so you're not
It can be this, remember, this is not perfect gun form. Right now, I just want you to say that you might observe 2 things. There might not be just one. You might be 2 things. I don't know, right? Eric, I could see somebody I know, walk towards them without raising my weapon at all, then hear something behind me. I need to be able to turn, and maybe it's the second one that is the attention. Yeah, so you should be ready to do 2 if you need, right? Your body's ready to move. You're able to acquire 1 target, acquire a second target. In some of the pistol competitions that I do, it's very common. You have to acquire 2, 3, 4 targets. You know, boom, 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 come over here, boom, 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 come over here. And you're acquiring targets all the time. So it's not one, it's usually multiple targets. So you need to be able to walk towards one and then change your direction, walk towards another one. It's the same thing. First look, then the gun comes. You look, and then the gun comes. Okay, guys, good. So just because I was watching a few of you working here. So bend your elbows like this, and I'll hold your elbows like this. So, and start to kind of turn the body from this position, okay? So as you acquire the target, this becomes your resting position, right? Now, for some people, more military, it's like this, right? Down, right? I down, and then I put it up, it's down. These are nuances, guys. The most important thing is I turn, I make visual confirmation as to what I'm aiming at. It can be a target, that's all that it is, and then I shoot. It doesn't matter. For me, however you feel comfortable, first is that you can visually pick it up. Awesome. Very good, guys. Good. Come close. How's that feel? Are you seeing the movements? Are you seeing some of what I'm... So, you know, I haven't talked about breathing. We haven't talked about fear. We haven't talked about tension. But all that stuff, like, so that's why for any of you guys to understand guns right now, you're already well ahead of most people, because you understand tension, you understand fear, you understand breathing. This is the stuff that goes like accelerates from 0 to 10 very quickly when it's something real, right? Even if it's not like a danger, just even a real gun there already can bring up the tension in the room, right? So this will help you. Like, imagine if you're scared and then you turn, everything you look at becomes a target, everything, okay? There is a wonderful article written from World War I where there was an English soldier, a Navy officer, not officer, sorry, Navy, just a regular Navy guy, a deckhand. And the captain said, you know, to the guy, we're all going to go to sleep on this boat, you know, military boat. And we heard that there's German U-boats, submarines in the water. So you stand on the deck with a pair of binoculars, look on the water. And if you see anything that looks like a U-boat, you know, hit the alarm, right? Hit the alarm 3 times in less than an hour. Everybody was upset with him because, and he wrote about this in a beautiful article. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you guys. It was from World War I. The guy said, I was looking at the water and everything looked like a periscope because that's what I was looking for. I was so scared that there would be a U-boat that when I was looking with the binoculars at night, every riffle of water, the glare of the moonlight, everything became a periscope. And I thought I saw a periscope. And I would sound the alarm and I would sound the alarm. And it goes, then the captain came up to me, slapped me in the head. He goes, just look at the water. He said, just look at the water. Don't try to find a U-boat. Everything will look like a U-boat. Everything will look like that. And it was very deep because when you want to see something, you'll find it somehow, right? If it's a monster, a branch in the forest looks like a monster. It still all of a sudden takes that look, right? And this has a deep connection to our fears because when we're worried about something, everything looks like that thing. right? So it's so important when you have a weapon that your fear and all that stuff is in check. So when I turn around and it's just a friend or it's a friendly, whatever it is, that I'm not already in an awkward position, right? So, and again, you have to be able to do this with high adrenaline too, right? So there's already a lot of emotion. So the breath work calms you down. The fear work calms you down. So you're not as scared. So you can make a better decision. So gun work just accentuates all that work. So can you see how some of the fear and breath work comes relevant now? Like when we're talking about like a more of a dangerous application of system, it comes more real, right?
Yeah.
No.
Does the power of the work or like the depth of the work change when you're working with a real gun versus working with a practice gun?
Oh yeah. No, it's a big depth. Yeah. But it's funny, like the seriousness is inside you. Like again, I'm not a military guy, so I'm not going to go there. But I've done IPSC, IDPA competitions, and so everybody there has a gun right here, right? They're all ready for competitions. There's targets everywhere, and you got to run through this course. It's not a walk; it's a run, and you got to hit targets. And there's a judge right beside you. He's not like back; he's right on your hip. So you don't want to hit him. You don't want to knock into him. So you got to be cognizant of the judge. The targets are all different. You got to be able to pick up the right ones and the wrong ones. So there's so many decisions to make. Now they're not life and death, but you know it's also it's
So
still
if you
serious.
mess up, they are. If you mess up really bad,
Yeah, I've never seen would anything bad like that happen. There's some stupid shit that happened. You know, like some guy shot a tree, but it's like, what did the tree do to you? You know, everybody bugged him for that, right? Because it wasn't a target. It's more like you feel silly, but it gives you a taste of like if there was somebody shooting back, this would be even that much further. So there's so much adrenaline here, guys. There's really so much, and that's why when I'm telling you, please train yourself now from this kind of play and welcome into weapons. Look first, then raise your weapon. Like just look first now. Okay. I get it. In the military, they don't have to look. They can just, you know, there's something there that's not, they can just shoot like this. I don't want you to do that. Okay. You be, you know, look first and go. You ever seen that driving principle? When you start to go towards a ditch, what do they tell you to do? Look where you want to go, right? Look what you're aiming at and make sure that it's the right thing. That's what you wanted to hit, right? So that's just super important, right? Acquiring the target, right? Any of you follow the ODA principle? Ever heard of ODA? ODDA, ODA. You ever heard of that, Karen? Have you heard of it? No. Miro, have you heard of it? Okay. So an American fighter pilot in the Korean War invented this. Okay, it's called ODA. Observe, orient, decision, and an action. So he was a fighter jet pilot. Okay, the first thing you have to do as a pilot or anybody is observe the danger. Observe it. Did you see the guy? If you don't see him, nothing happens, right? So first you observe it, and then when you observe the danger, orient yourself. Or where should you be? And then make a decision. What are you going to do? And then take an action. That's it. And you have a split second to do that. Okay. Now, he was a mathematical guy. So everything, he knew his plane inside and out, and he knew the enemy's plane inside and out. And he knew from a mathematical perspective, if he did so many turns or so many revolutions or hit a certain speed, he could get behind his enemy pilot, the enemy that he was trying to shoot down. And he had a challenge to the entire Korean army that I'll get behind you. And he did. And it was not cocky. It was all mathematical for him. His most important thing was observe the danger. It's the same for martial arts. First, observe the danger, orient yourself. Do you want to be there? Don't be there. If you're going to be there, where should you be there? Then make a decision, because how many people die, they haven't made a decision. And then do you have the guts to take the action? That's the most important thing, right? That's the exact protocol. You can research it. He has a book, The ODA Principle. It's, you know, make sure you take half year of your life away to read this, because it's really dry. It's not easy, but I summed it up quite nicely for you guys. But maybe you want to flip through those pages, by all means. It's not a pleasant read. It's definitely a PhD paper. So in the same fashion, observe, orient yourself, right? Like if I turn and observe a threat and it's a gun pointing back at me, it's not a good time to lift my gun up. I need to find some safety, then lift my gun up, right? Like I need to observe danger too. So should I, just because I have a weapon does not mean I need to draw it here. It does not mean that. I need to draw it from a place where it's safe for me, right? Makes sense, Karen, or have I lost you? You look so deep. You look so deep. As these are deep things, right? It's such a, this one, of course, it's not not a real one, but a real gun has like so much power. It really does. It has so much power, and you need to be mentally tough. Okay, think of a good sports car. You know, it's really tough when you get behind the wheel to not race when nobody's looking. You know, when nobody's around, just to give it a little gas and speed up. Right? It's fun. It's hard not to hold a real gun. It's meant and forged to be fired. So it's so comfortable. It's so cool. It looks so wonderful that you want to fire it almost right away. So you need to have a strong psyche when you're talking about it. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, good. So not to get too caught up in that. So now, how do we study self-defense from this? Okay, so let's look at it this way. Okay, the trick with the weapon. Okay, the trick with the weapon is understanding its zone. Now, I'm calling this a weapon, but really it's not a weapon. Okay, you have to understand that this a pistol is more symbolic of an officer. Okay, it is a sidearm piece that represents an officer. Okay, it is meant to show that it's not a real weapon. I would consider a much bigger gun than this. Okay, this is much more ceremonial. It's been given a weapon now because people can carry it around and gangster stuff, right? But it's, if you were to go to combat, this is not what you want. This is not it. It's not, no military guy would feel comfortable going in with this. Okay, so let's make that distinction. This has a very limited range. Okay, it can go far, but accuracy, 25 meters. Most people aren't that accurate after that, right? So usually it's close distance. So you need to understand the effective range, right, of the weapon. The reality is, these, for most good people, they'll come across a weapon when they're like innocent bystander stuff. It's not like they were the intended target. There was somebody in the area and then you heard boom, boom, boom. Most important thing, get down. You know that, right? Get down on the ground, right? Get some cover. Do not go to a wall. That's the worst thing to do, is go to a wall. Bullets ricochet down walls. Do not go to a wall. Get down and get just off of it, but don't go close to the wall. I don't know the science behind it, but they found it. Bullets just ricochet down walls for some reason. So stay just off the wall. That's the best place. And then just observe, like observe where it is and try to get away from that. So that's your best bet with observation. Most people, when I've seen that, are usually just like this. They're just shocked because they didn't observe it properly. It's like a dream. It's real. Yeah, just be ready to react, okay? Like ready to go to safety. That's important. Second, distance, okay? Distance that is most common is when it's on you, okay? So in other words, somebody comes up behind you, puts it and says, you know, give me your wallet or something, okay? Of course, guys, please, if you can, give it. Like, you should teach it like this too. Find out what the person wants. And if they don't tell you, ask them, what do you want? Just like that, what do you want? And they'll usually tell you quickly, give me your wallet, give me money. Okay, if you can give it, please. If you can give it, just give it. It's the easiest way. Don't kid yourself, because I'm not scared of a person who's trained with a gun. I'm scared of the person who's not trained with a gun. That's the most dangerous person in the room, because he does not know what it can do. He has no clue. Okay, it's like a teenager that just got behind the wheel of a real fast car. That's the person I'm scared of. There's no idea how to handle that car. Or some kid who's walking a dangerous dog has no idea how to control it. That's the dog I'm scared of. The person cannot control it, right? So if you can give it, give it. If not, that's that observe, orient yourself. So now we're into orient. I observe danger. I want to get in your house. Got my family in my house. It's not going to happen, right? In my head, okay? So when you feel the pressure of the weapon, you have to rotate yourself in such a way, much like those pushing drills we do in Systema, right? The pushing drill, right? So when you feel the pressure on you, you move, okay? Now, what do they usually do? Guy with the gun, usually, boom, slap you right away in the head and then just shove it in you. So he disorients you for a second, somehow even slap you with a gun in the face. You feel some pain and he shoves it in you. And for a moment, he disorients you and he wants you to listen. And by listening, you're frozen, right? And you're in shock, right? That's why I tell you guys, when people push you, don't think. Okay. When a person starts to, don't think. Okay. How many guys have come, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass, you motherfucker. I sit there, I'm not even listening. If I listen to it, it can actually affect me a little bit. Oh, he's gonna hurt me. No. They can do this. When you feel it, move. When you move, pin. And then rotate again. Okay, that's the best way of taking the weapon. Somebody puts a weapon on me, I rotate to the side of my body. I don't grab it, I pin it, and then I rotate another way. And guess what happens? It's in my hand now. Okay? So I want you guys to try that just for a second, just as an idea. So tomorrow when you have a partner and they put the gun on you, okay? Let's say in your tummy, right? So first thing you do is rotate, so it's on the side, okay? Pin it with your hand and then rotate the other way, and look how it goes right to your hand. It comes right to your hand every time. So point the side of your body, pin it, and then rotate back. Okay, believe me, the same thing, it works on the back and the side. It's the same thing. You rotate, you get to the side, you rotate back. Okay. So again, because I do want to touch on this. This is super important, right? So you're here. So anywhere where it's put. Now, don't train like this, okay? Nobody puts it in your head like execution style. I don't know. This is only for movie stuff. Okay. I know maybe Karen will do this to me in training, but nobody else will do this. Okay. I've never seen it. Okay. You got big problems when a guy puts a gun to your head like that. Okay. You've done something really bad to that person. I don't know what. So, but to the body, it's possible. Maybe person wants a wallet, your cell phone, something, give it. If you can't give what he wants, turn and take it. Okay. And believe me, it works really, really, really well. Okay. What I can't teach you right now is the shock, because they usually somehow slap you or do something very shocking, right? You know, I doubt they would fire it. They don't want to make that much noise, but they want to somehow freeze you. They want to worry you. They want to instill fear in you so that you're frozen, so that you just are listening and comply. So be ready for that. You don't be ready for the trash talk. Be ready for this intimidation. No professional does this. Anybody that really knows would never do that. If they wanted to use it, they just would have shot you right away. But they want something. So you got to figure that out quickly. And if you can't give it, you got to be ready to react and not get intimidated, okay? Make sense? Make sense? Okay. Next one, when the gun is not on you, okay? So when the gun is like just off of you, so the person puts it just in front. Now, usually it's at an arm's distance, okay? Like it's like that, like at an arm's distance, because they don't want you to take their weapon, okay? Believe it or not, this is the best one. It's the best one because they didn't shoot, so they want something. They usually throw me your wallet. Like it'll be something that simple, and I'm sure you'll give that. The one where it's on you, it's like, get in the car. No, I'm not getting in the car. Or I'm getting into your house. You're not getting in my house. When it's on me, right? When it's away from me, it's very much like a police officer would tell us, wait, get on the ground, put your hands up. Like it's usually stuff that you can give. It's not that hard, okay? It's really not that difficult. I'm not that difficult. I mean, just listen and give it, right? Now, I have seen a situation where this happened. It was very funny. Where the guy put the gun and the person fainted. He really just fainted. He just collapsed. He goes, damn it. I hate when they faint. So I don't know if you want to try this, but next time you see this, just faint. Just pretend to faint. And it happens all the time. People get shocked. They don't know what to do. They just run up and try to grab something from you. But it worked. They bought it. Now, let's say I had to advance on this gun. Let's say you're asking me now, how do I advance on a gun, okay? So I want you to look at this very closely, okay? So up on top of the gun here, so if somebody's pointing a gun right at me, straight at me like this, okay? The most important thing is to get out of that line, out of the line of sight. Now, everybody try this for me. So the gun is not on you, it's in front of you. Everybody put up your hands like this. okay? Put your hand exactly like I showed you, like that, okay? Now, can you see me how I am? It's almost like I've created a picture frame. See the frame? Okay. And I remove the picture, but the frame is still there. Watch again. It's very slight because you have a guy with a gun and he's got it. And what, for a moment, he picks up the frame because the hands are in front. See, and I move out, but the frame is still there. And what ends up happening is because the frame is still there, the person doesn't follow you as easy. Okay. So with a knife, you keep your hands close. With a gun, your hands are out and you make like a frame and say, and use the words, listen, you know, whatever you want. And then you get out of frame. That's when you go forward. That's when you advance towards the gun. Okay. I know this is going to be so rare, but this is always a question that comes up, right? Now, options you have, okay? I love my hands like this, okay? I like them open. There's a couple of reasons. As I step aside, you see this hand? It changes and it comes up under the gun. So if the gun is pointing at me like this, it comes up under the gun and pushes it up, okay? Up is a safe position. I like up. Up, generally, there's nobody up there, maybe God or something, but no innocent bystanders, okay? Or if I know around me is fine, like there's not people all around or stuff like that, then as I move out of frame, this hand can slap the gun to one side, allowing me to approach the person, okay? So yeah, so you have to think about it. Here's the frame I've created. As soon as I step out, I still leave my arms there. So this hand can go under or this hand can slap it to the one side so that I can get in. I need to get in, right? That's where you got to be. If you're going to take this weapon, you need to get in, okay? Now, the question people might say is, well, wouldn't the gun, people don't do stuff like this, okay? You need to say, people don't do stuff like this, okay? I don't know, like, you know, people say, oh, well, I can just go shoot you like this or something. When people know that you want to take their weapon, when people know you want to take your weapon, they hold on to your arm super tight. It's like they know that you want to take it, so this wrist is super tense. They can't bend it, they can't lose it. If the gun goes off at this distance, boom, okay, meaning just goes off, both of you have a big problem. Your ears will be ringing like nobody's business. Okay, you won't be able to hear for a couple of days. Okay. Has that ever happened to anybody? Has everybody heard a gun in a room, we're talking, without ear protection? It happened to me once. I was at a gun range and the person beside me was shooting a very big gun. And I just moved my earpiece because they were uncomfortable. So I opened it a little bit exactly at the time the person shot. And guys, 4 Advil later and a day, my ears were still ringing, okay? And in the blast from a gun without ear protection will deafen you, okay? Both of you are going to have a real problem, right? So I doubt this will happen, okay? The point is you're in close and now the range of this weapon is mitigated. Like a handgun is only effective with the distance, like, you know, 5, 10, 15 meters. It's not in close. That's where people use knives. That's not an effective range for this weapon. So you've gotten in, and that's the most important thing. Does that make sense, guys? Now, the training that you would have to follow that we did with the class is I had students grab their partner's wrist. So the gun was not pointed at them. So the gun was pointed at the wall and the partners grabbed your wrist. And the idea was me, as the guy with the gun, was trying to turn and point my weapon at my partner. And their role was to use my arm to not let that happen. So they were not okay with the gun pointed at them. So as I tried, they forced me back. As I tried to come up under, they forced it back at me. So to try to deal with a person and their weapon, you have to practice a lot with how people behave when you grab their arm. Of course, they tense up, right? They tense up. And you need to know how to work with that, either breaking the arm, or you don't want to break it in training, but you got to work with it. But in real, it's just easy, you break the arm and then it's enough. But That I can't teach. That you have to feel. That you just have to learn how to do. There's no way around that, right? So it's highly personal. It's like life and death because the gun is just a powerful, it's the biggest toy in that area. Everybody wants it. So right away, it attracts all this attention and tension. So you got to know how to be strong but mobile, how to get in, isolate the arm, very much like I guess jujitsu, right? How to isolate an arm and how to take it out of commission. So that I can't teach over the internet right now, but I can at least tell you, you can understand how you can do that, right? So a good way is to get a partner to hold on to your arm, and then the person with the gun tries to turn it towards the person that's holding the arm, and they have to not let that happen. Now, it doesn't mean they have to stop it. I mean, I'm okay with you with a gun. I just don't want it on me. So it can be over here, it can be over here, it can be over here, it can be over here. I just not at me. I just don't want it pointed at me, right? Like, it's like people that are angry. If you want to be angry, that's fine, but don't be angry with me. Go be angry over there. Go yell at the tree, or go yell at, go into a rage room or something. Find one of those. I don't know, whatever you need, right? But don't not at me. So with gun training, when you get into hand to hand, believe me, the person, if you're in that close already, you have a bigger advantage than the person with the gun. You really do. Okay. Everybody understands that principle, right? The police have this dilemma, right? It's been proven. It's been well tried and tested. If there's a bad guy with a knife, okay, and they're within 15, I think it's 15 or 20 feet, okay, so that's pretty good, like 3, 4, 5 meters, right? And they come rushing at the officer. He does not have enough time to pull his gun and deal with that situation. Doesn't have it. It's just not enough time. And I haven't tried it personally, but we've done it with people running past you, and you don't even have enough time to get it out. Like, it is a real disadvantage in close quarters. A knife has a way more dangerous weapon than a gun in close quarters. You got to remember that, because no matter what I do, when I take the bullets out of this gun and I stack them up, they only stack up the length of my finger, all 9 bullets. A knife is endless, the damage it can inflict. There's no reloading. It can go over and over and over, right? Where those bullets, once they're done, that's as much damage they could possibly inflict. Now, I get it. When you get hit, it's bad. But in terms of overall surface area, it's not that much. What makes a gun powerful is the sound. Boom! It gets everybody's attention. It sobers everybody up real quick. It stops people right away, right? So does that make sense, or have I ever bored everybody? The best weapon of all, guys, honestly, is a shotgun. And I don't because of the sound, it makes a big sound. And that's what it gets everybody's attention. Even loading of the shotgun makes a big sound, that it gets everybody's attention. When we go to the gun range, when somebody loads a shotgun, just the loading process, everyone looks. They know it's going to be a big bang. It's the biggest bang of all. It's like, boom. It's like, okay, that's a cannon, right? That's not a gun, that's a cannon. Anyway, guys, there's so much more here. I don't even know where to begin. There's just so much. I barely scratched the surface of this. Did you enjoy it, or was it maybe too much, or maybe I don't know? It's hard to do over the internet, maybe.
No. I thought it was great. I feel like I'm freezing. Like, my house is warm, but I'm freezing. The tension and the fear alone. I've unfortunately had some exposure, not holding one, but seeing things escalate in front of me and it go really badly, which is why I've always had a fear of being around them. So I thought it was brilliant just to bring that into me and into my body and start making myself aware of it. So I want you to do more classes. I thought it was great.
No, I wish I should have just maybe videotaped the class I taught. Maybe it would have been maybe a little bit more dynamic for you guys to see what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, you can train it like a technique. Like, all gun things can be broken down into techniques if you want. But when I watched, like, if you guys know Konstantin Komarov, you guys know Konstantin. Konstantin is this guy's awesome with guns, man. I watched him train with a gun 2 summers in a row, and also in Belgium. I saw him 3 times now train with a gun. the most dynamic person with a gun I ever met. This is the guy I want on my team if I'm going to war. This guy is dynamic, man. He was pure instincts. It was beautiful. Okay. You're never going to find an instinct shooting school other than go to your backyard and start shooting at trees. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It's very much like how kids play with guns. They don't practice that technique. They just turn around and shoot an elastic band at somebody or throw a snowball at somebody. It's instinctive, right? At one level, it is like that. It is like that. And it's a lot of fun. And that's what I loved about it. The training with Sistema's movement and all that stuff is so dynamic. It's so dynamic that if you were to apply that in real situations, boy, you would have something somebody else doesn't have, a level of freedom and a level of awareness that is just awesome, right? So hope you enjoyed it, something different. And yeah, so I think, and next week, if you guys can bring either a rope, a heavy rope, so it's got to be like a big one, right? Or like a light chain of some sort, okay? Like the chain. So we're talking, the chain link, right? Karen, I have one if you need, I can give it to you, right? So you can just get them at Home Depot, guys. And it won't be much, a couple of bucks. It's a great training tool. Believe me, the chain is wonderful. Or if a chain is maybe too much for you, you're worried about that a little bit, then get a heavy rope. Not like that, but like, I don't know, it should be at least 2 or 3 inches thick, right? And the distance you want roughly is like from like the length of your arm, like chest to your arm, okay? That's too big, both arms. But from the chest outward, that's a good distance for a heavy rope or a lighter chain, okay? And a lot of fun with it. Chain work is wonderful. Wonderful weapon, and it has some really dynamic principles too, okay? So we'll do that for next week. All right, guys? I'll post it soon. Thank you for joining me, guys. I really appreciate it. Enjoy, guys. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Manny. Enjoy
Bye,
the weekend.
everybody.
Bye.
You too, guys. Thank you.